You know, like a good meal, you like to savor it. You know, you like to take your time and enjoy every bit of it. And I woke up this morning in this, like, I'm never going to blog again ever about Fukushima. And then I watched the video from DNews, Discovery Channel, by the way. And I was reinvigorated with all the lies and the misrepresentation and the outrageous, blatant misdirections that they're using in that video that I'm going to tear apart. I'm going to tear apart. You know, haven't you always wanted to take apart one of these big shot teleprompt readers? I mean, they probably haven't got an actual thought in their head. They got so many lights and makeup on them. They got so many people. Oh, you're great. You do videos for Discovery Channel. You must be something special. You must be real. You got to use science. And they came out with this map of the tsunami, and then they try to use that to debunk Fukushima. It's going to be a hell. There's no doubt about it, because it's non-stop lies. The links are below this video. And I was totally, I was like, how do I do that? How do I just come out and bash them? I can come out and do it in like 60 seconds, but what's the fun in that? I want to take my time and tear their legs off one at a time. And literally. I got to start getting these voodoo dolls and getting a bunch of needles, and every time I stick it to them, put a needle in them. Okay, here we go. Let's scroll down, make sure we keep up with any comments that might show up. Hi, John. Hi, unseen recording. And the map you see in front of me is a peer-reviewed academic external study that was peer-reviewed by other institutions that shows a 2-week dispersal of the first 2 weeks of Fukushima. And their video that we're going to tear apart here in a moment is only 3 minutes and 21 seconds long, so I'm going to try to stretch it out as long as I can. And let's start off with their craziness. By the way, they got really terrible music. It's definitely porno music or something after the first few seconds. It's despicable. Here we go.
It's been almost 3 years and the Fukushima nuclear power plant is still making headlines.
3 years and still making headlines like it's a crime or something. Like he can't understand it, he can't wrap his mind around it. The teleprompter is telling him what to say, remember? But he's acting. He's an actor. His job is to sell it. Whatever he sees in front of him, put on the smile and sell it. Excuse me, here we go.
Though often it's for the completely wrong reasons.
Often it's because the completely wrong reason. I'm paraphrasing his movements that time.
Hey people, Trace here, setting the record straight for DNews. If you
hear that? He's setting the record straight. He's the super duper snoof that has went out and found all the facts. So here we go.
You go on Facebook or Tumblr or Twitter or wherever and you look for information on Fukushima, you're going to run into a lot of...
You go on Facebook and Tumblr and look for information? Who's he talking to, right? So he's looking for people that have no concept of real news. Anybody goes to Tumblr, Facebook for their news really got some serious issues. There's so many peer-reviewed academic studies like the one I got below it that shows a 2-week dispersal. Imagine get into it. Keep going.
Lies and myths. Journalism is here to make sure that the truth is being delivered, not rumor and conjecture.
He says journalist. He's the journalist, and he represents the journalists, and they're going to bring us the truth and not conjectures. That's an interesting word. So if you go over to his page, he's got the second video, last video they put up was "Your Like Don't Help Charities." But then the one universe word, pop music makes solar cells more efficient, sex versus guns, why women live longer, how the 5 nastiest things in your food. I can guarantee he's not going to be talking about GMO or glyphosates or formaldehydes that are engineered into your food. They got a video, could a pill help us regrow our limbs? And how fire burns in space. See, if you're a journalist and you write about stuff like that, you don't got any merit right off the bat. You lost any possibility of merit. You don't get a merit just because you have a journalist degree, okay? I don't know where you get this concept that you have merit because you're up with the Discovery Channel Let's keep going. I just want you to let you know what kind of journalist he actually is before I get into the video.
That's where social media comes in. We've gathered some examples to debunk some of these Fukushima Fuku-ups, if you will.
Fuku-ups. Fuku-ups, if you will. Now, he stole that word from all the people out there that have been bashing TEPCO.
You might have heard Fukushima was leaking radioactive water into the ocean at a rate of about 300 tons a day. It made its way...
They put 272 tons there on the screen. And that's at 43 seconds into the video. 272. Hang on. I got to bring up the page because I'm back over on the other one. Hi, T. Canterbury. Hi, Tracy. Chat, I'm coming over to you in a minute. It's only a 3-minute video, so I'm going to tear them apart. So he says 300 tons, but in the front of him shows up 272 tons. Now, he doesn't mention the fact that there's 3 melted cores. And I'm going to come up to that a little bit more later because it's something he says at the very end of the video. But it's important for people to realize the map you're seeing on the screen is based up on 2 weeks dispersal. Now they're confirming it's 300 tons a day going into the ocean, and they're going to try to marginalize that every way possible. But think about what the isotope does. It's putting up all these gamma and betas, right? At the rate of billions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions, kills all the oxygen in the ocean. And that's why that dispersal map you see shows the entire Pacific Ocean radiated in 6 years. And so this guy is a mass murderer. Let's keep going.
Around social media, usually accompanied by a map, which I think we've got somewhere.
Now he's going to show the tsunami map.
It doesn't measure radioactivity at all. Note the legend.
Right? So he's going to use that map. The map I got up on the screen is the one that does it, and the links to that peer-reviewed academic study is below this video. And he's not going to touch on that one. He's going to show you the map of a tsunami, because that's the Roy Dawson trick. Remember that video made about Roy Dawson, how he tried to do the same thing to everybody?
And it says centimeters. This is a real map from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Oh, it's a real map. Now he's got to go on down this road here. See, he's not going to show any map like you're looking at on my video right now.
But it's measuring tsunami waves from the March 2011 earthquake, not radiation seepage over time.
Right.
300 tons may sound like a lot, but in comparison to the ocean, it's not that much. Mostly, the experts are worried about fish immediately.
The experts are worried about fish? No, the experts are worried about the death plumes of 979 days of death plumes, because the rods are falling down on those melted cores he don't talk about, and that's 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And so these rods that are, and he doesn't talk about, he only talks about cesium-134. He doesn't talk about the 137, he doesn't talk about the plutonium, he doesn't talk about the strontium, he doesn't talk about the depleted uranium, he doesn't talk about the MOX fuel, he doesn't talk about the 1,300 weaponized isotopes. He doesn't talk about you need 1,300 Geiger counters that are all calibrated to each one of those 1,300 isotopes. You need 1,300 people to run those Geiger counters that know what they're doing, because these Geiger counters, you have to know what you're doing. If you sniff early or you sniff too much, you destroy the ability of it. And that most Geiger counters only get low beta and gamma particles. They're not intended for these massive, inconceivable, like the dispersion shows in the picture you're looking at, like the peer-reviewed studies we're talking about down below, and like all the experts are actually talking about. Let's keep going.
Around the plant, not on the beaches of California or Mexico or Canada.
Which even is, the Hawaii. Like, you shouldn't speak for Canada, okay? You go Mexico, United States, and Canada. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are by not backing that up, that you can make those assertions? Trace? You murderer? You mass murderer? Who do you think you are? Let's keep going.
The State Department of Health has been monitoring their water for radioactive.
Yeah, they decommissioned all the radioactive, like up in Alaska. That's in the mainstream news. They've done it here in British Columbia. They're doing it all along the coast. Why are they decommissioning the Geiger counters that they actually have there, which are probably well useless anyway, but they do show some of the cesium. Let's keep going.
Material, and they are way closer than the Western Americas. And they've got nada. Zip.
They got nada zip, because you need 1,300 Geiger counters. You need to know what you're doing. You got to catch the gamma rays while they're airborne. They're solutable. They go into the soil really quick. I'm yelling. Sorry. And once again, it's not just the 300 tons a day, and they put up, he says 300 tons, they put up 272 tons on the screen. It's not just that. There's 3 cores down there, and they usually took 1 million gallons a minute. And the model that's built into these power plants, which are nuclear industrial machines, and power is just a byproduct of it, is 1 million gallons a minute. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, and there's 3 melted cores. And if those cores didn't have all that water running over it and kept them under the water all that time, they couldn't get on that site. Because there's 3 supernovas at the Fukushima prefecture. Let me keep going. So I want you to think about the 4.3 billion gallons a day he's not going to put into the equation. Every day for 979 days.
Zero. Nothing. The reason is, it's been more than 2 years. The Fukushima plant's water runoff has not only been diluted into the ocean, 300 tons.
You can't dilute an isotope. You spread it out and it becomes more dangerous. See, the isotopes that we're talking about are unbelievable. A Dixie cup will kill everybody in a restaurant inside of an hour. And they'll do that every day for 1 million years or 1 billion years, depending on the types of isotopes we're talking about. We don't know, because Mach fuel had 1 million times more deadly than any other reactor on this planet. And this is outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous that he's saying this stuff.
Per day sounds like a lot, but since we know
teleprompt readers.
Water weighs just over 8 pounds, 300 tons is 71,895 gallons.
And now he's trying to divide it all the way up into that, right? And what he's really telling you is that this stuff dilutes air, right, and becomes more deadly, becomes more concentrated as it comes across the ocean, like the peer-reviewed academic journals show. Like, I'm so upset with these people. This is an outrageous fabrication and amount of lies that they're spewing. These teleprompt readers are definitely going to pay the price down the road for their lies. We will not forget these lies. Make no mistake about it.
Which is only about 1,500 bathtubs full of water.
Yeah, and how's that work out for the 4.3 billion gallons a day that's running over the coriums, the hot coriums, the 3 melted cores that are sitting on the floor? What about the riverbed that comes out? The backup plan for these facilities is for the ocean to come in and go on top of that, or for a river, which is why they put 100 foot of topsoil there. The cores melt down through that. When they have an explosion, all the rods go up in the air and land in that topsoil. They spray water on it. It turns to mud, and the rods get absorbed, but they got to keep spraying water on it. See how that works. And then all the rainwater, all the snow, all the typhoons picking up all those isotopes and whipping them up. He's not going to tell you why the ocean is heating up because of all of these isotopes. And what you're looking at is a 2-week dispersal if you happen to be just joining this video. And that model is not including the 4.3 billion gallons a day running out underneath this place over the hot coriums that are beyond contamination, beyond your imagination. And a dose is so small that we can barely wrap our minds around it on the atomic level. Will give you pituitary cancers, will give you breast cancers and prostate cancers and liver cancers and lung cancers. And this stuff gets aerosol and gets carried across the ocean like the Japanese balloons in 1944 did. The jet streams are running at 100 miles an hour, so every 24 hours that's 2,400 miles. So the model's around 3 days before it lands on our coastline. It quickly gets absorbed into our soil and into our surroundings. And it also attacks the microlife on the shorelines. And so we're seeing that disappearing right around the Pacific Basin. But this guy only wants to deal with a teleprompter, and he doesn't want to have any accountability, which we're going to deny him today.
Not many in comparison. The 187 quintillion
gallons in the ocean. 300 million kilometers is how big the ocean is. And look at the dispersal rate for 2 weeks. Get a load how this stuff works, because it's pumping out all these gammas and beta particles, and so as you make it disperse out a little bit, it's not diluting, it's dispersing. As it disperses out, it becomes more encompassing. It kills all the oxygen in the water, it kills all the protoplankton in the water, it kills the ability of the oxygenation of the ocean. So when the ocean comes in and crashes on your coastline, it normally would liberate these oxygen molecules. It doesn't do that anymore. When the rainstorms are picking up all this cesium, this strontium, this plutonium, these 1,300 weaponized isotopes, I want you to think that that's a radioactive cloud, 1,000 miles by 1,000 miles, and it comes in and it gets up into the troposphere and gets carried around the planet. That's what the experts are saying, not what this monster, this mass murderer, this creature,
gallons in the Pacific Ocean. Radioactivity also...
And when he was saying quadrillion, they put up... He says gallons, they put up liters, 707 quadrillion liters. Monsters. I'm talking about trying to muddle the water.
Decays constantly. When it decays in half, that's called a half-life. The cesium isotope CS-134 decayed more than half already. And the